Crazy question for you guys.
Yeah.
How many fingers do y'all have?
Easy answer, 10.
John?
5 on each
Hold
hand.
on. Seth, just keep on talking. I'm gonna start counting.
I guess I didn't check, but I have 10. I'm so certain of this.
I do as well.
10. I got 10.
We all have that in common. That's cool.
Oh, this guy does not have this in common. There's a pitcher that used to play for the Marlins, championship reliever. He has 12 fingers, 6 on each hand.
I remember. Was he on the Tigers too?
I don't think he was on the Tigers.
I'm so glad he didn't have 12 on each hand because that's what it sounded like at first.
That's an excess.
That's way too many.
I should probably just stop saying this guy
Yeah.
and say his name to see if y'all remember him. Antonio Alfonseca.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the name. I'm sure John remembers him better than I do.
Yeah. As a Braves obsessive from like the late 90s, early 2000s. When did he play for the Braves? I feel like he was
Like
one of
late 2000s, I think, mid 2000s.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Yeah. You kind of had to know all of those guys at some point. I don't remember his sixth finger making him better at baseball.
No, so that's actually the funny thing. There was like a lot of reports being like, "Oh, his sixth finger gives him like a little extra like zest on the ball," to the point where he had to come out and literally say, "No, like it does not at all."
The sixth finger was it like another pinky? Like where was it?
Yeah, it was like an extra pinky, very small, and he used to like goof with his teammates as well. So a new teammate went to the Marlins, and there was like a routine ground ball to like the shortstop or some shit. He was like, "What was the play? Like, what happened?" He threw up one hand. It was like, it was a 6-3. And then the new guy who did not know him yet, he was like, "No, dude, why do you have a 5-3?" And like Alfonseca was like, "No, like look closer." And then the dude like apparently like zoomed in and like got very close to his hand. Was like, "You got 6 fingers." He fell out of his chair.
Joe, you know what that's like, Joe? That is like if you went into the Simpsons universe and you were like, "Hey, look at how many fingers I have," and everyone was like, "What the fuck? How'd you get that many fingers?"
And the even crazier part is, so this nickname got passed down from his grandfather, but his nickname is El Pupo, which means
octopus.
The octopus.
That doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
That's 8.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Dude. And they even asked him about that too. It's just like, I don't know, it just got passed down from my grandfather. Like, I don't know how he got it.
So clearly he had a bit of a sense of humor about it.
Mm-hmm.
I assume he was born with 6 fingers on each hand and
6 toes too on each
so
foot.
is that a congenital thing? I assume?
It's called I don't want to butcher this.
Polydactyly, right? Yeah, okay.
We got a smart guy.
I got you.
Brains in the room.
Did his family also have it or just him?
Yeah, so I'm assuming that's how like it got passed down from his grandfather because he also had it. But I still don't understand the El Pupo part.
Yeah, I don't know. That seems like it should be reserved for someone with 8.
Yeah,
but
so one of his nickname was also the Thing, which is kind of
a little
that's
demeaning.
better, but it's kind of fucked up. But like but he was like whatever. He was like very like fine with it, and didn't mind like having 6 fingers.
And so there were actually people like, are we talking about scouts or media who were like objecting to him pitching because they thought the finger gave him an advantage?
So they thought it gave him an advantage, and to the point, like I said, where he had to come out and literally say, "I've tried to figure out what to do with it, but I have not been able to put it to any use."
Okay. So he's like, I would cheat.
Yeah, like, he's like, I could, or maybe he's like hiding. He's like, I'm fucking cheating this whole time over here with this extra little pinky.
I wonder how much dexterity he actually had with it.
It might have been vestigial, almost kind of like that, right? Where it was just like you probably didn't have a lot of dexterity in it. It was just kind of there.
It is very interesting seeing him like hold the ball though.
So it makes contact with the ball?
Like just barely.
Okay.
Just barely. Yeah.
Then you got to assume it has some, whether or not he has the like strength to use it and to deliberately do anything, you got to assume it affects.
I mean, he had over a decade career. So like,
yeah,
not saying that was the like factor why he had it.
What was his career like? He was a decent like relief pitcher, right?
Yeah,
he had 45 saves one season.
He was good. I think of like when we're talking about how to figure out how to, I don't know, improve his play by virtue of having a 6 finger on his pitching hand. Like I think of how I thought of pitching when I was 7 or 8 years old, where like I didn't understand that throwing a curveball or a slider or whatever was about, twisting your arm and like getting your shoulder right and like getting all your mechanics right. I thought it was all like some like kung fu kind of shit where it was all about how you gripped the ball. And if you threw the ball while gripping it with your fingers in a certain permutation, that's all that mattered. And so I would try to like figure out how to throw a ball like I did in like instructional books and stuff, like, oh, I throw it like this, but I throw it the exact same as I throw any other pitch.
Right.
It'll just magically curve because it's like some like mystical like shit. And it doesn't work like that, but I feel like I want Antonio Fonseca to be able to pitch differently so badly that that's what I'm looking for.
Well, yeah, because like mathematically, if you add another finger, then by a factorial,
you're like 17% better.
Yeah.
So his best season was 2000. He had 45 saves. And I did not know the MVP race went this deep. But he was 22nd in MVP.
Baseball Reference is really good for that. They'll show you every single person.
Yeah, he was 22nd in the MVP.
The little MVP 22.
Which is pretty damn good if he's like...
Well, maybe there was just
as a closer.
one MVP voter who was like, I'm just giving it to whoever has the most fingers.
And this dude's got
Usually
it.
it's a tie.
This dude's got him.
He's been known as the silent voter since 1904, and he's never
knew.
found someone who would take the crowd. He's like, finally, you get one first place vote. You get 3 vote points. You finally emerged.
If he was a silent voter in 1904, check this out. So Alfonseca had 6 fingers. There's a guy in the 1900s.
Yeah.
Mordecai, 3 fingers Brown.
How many fingers did he have?
Jinx!
No, he had. No, it was just on one hand though.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Damn it. Yeah. So okay.
What year did you say?
It just said early 1900s.
So was that congenital or was that like the Spanish American War?
Look, man, we're talking 6 fingers. I did not do research on old Mordecai.
Oh, he had 3 on each hand?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was probably born that way. Unless he just got like a really symmetrical
Or some
injury.
like war.
But
or
just I'm saying
something.
to have a war wound apply evenly to both hands sounds unlikely.
Yeah. All I'm saying is the pitchers in the 1900s were already throwing meatballs over the plate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if this dude is throwing me a pitch, I'm smacking that shit to the moon, bro. It is out of here.
So some breaking news here from 1901 or whatever. Okay. So 3 Fingers Brown lost 3 of his fingers in a farming accident, which
Wait.
is like,
Hold on. He lost 3?
or no, yeah,
Lost
he
2.
Lost 2.
Okay.
Yeah, lost
This
parts
dude's
of 2
hands are
fingers.
crazy.
He had 6 to start with. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, there was another guy. Oh, what was the guy who had Antonio
Antonio
Fonseca?
Fonseca.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, finish yours.
No, I just say it's unfortunate that like he was named 3 Fingers Brown and then he ended up actually having 3 fingers. Like that's horrible luck. That's terrible luck.
By the way, this is El Pulpo and the thing. Just call him 6 Fingers Fonseca. Like,
Yeah.
they were better at nicknames in the early 1900s.
3 Finger Brown.
Yeah. Easy.
There was a few headlines where it's like the sixth pitch, the 6th fastball, the 6th curve, and it's like, you could be more creative than that. Like El Pupo, that's a little more creative.
Well, we've lost creativity in this time when it comes to most things, but especially like player nicknames. Some are very lacking. I just think, and this is a bit of a tangent, but like, do you remember that period in like 2014 or so for like a month? Dwayne Wade and his marketing team decided his new nickname was Way of Wade.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Capital W, lowercase O,
Yeah.
capital W.
And I think they really wanted people to be like, oh, yeah, there's Way of Wade. Did you hear Way of Wade is playing tonight? Oh, man, Way of Wade.
Well, I
went
think they
off.
wanted you to say wow eventually.
Wow. 30.
But
Jump
that's
over,
what I'm
wow.
saying is the way a nickname should happen is that you show up in the clubhouse and a bunch of assholes are like, oh, it's all 3 Finger Brown. That's a nickname. Nobody in a boardroom gets to come up with a nickname. Can you imagine if someone showed up in any sports environment now with any sort of congenital abnormality that was visible to people? We would end up with the weirdest fucking nickname. Like it would end up being like a Nike campaign about like 4-ear. What's the last name? I don't know.
So you didn't even
Is there a player with
purposely
4
set
ears?
me up. But not 4 ears, but there's a kid that plays for University of Kentucky, linebacker who has 6 fingers as well.
Okay.
And then like Nike like ran a campaign and like made him special gloves and whatnot. And like no one like people found out because he like got an interception. And like some fans on Twitter were like, what the fuck? That dude's hands looks weird. And then he had to be like, yeah, I have 6 fingers. and then Nike got behind him and they did like a whole campaign for him.
It's funny because I've been on the internet long enough to know that there's like, you know, the like lizard people thing, that there's like people who are on the internet trying to find evidence that some humans are not actually humans. And there's like 6 fingers and like the number of fingers is part of that. And I bring this up only because there was a Carmelo Anthony video like 10 years ago when he was on the Knicks where people were like, someone posted something on YouTube where it looked, because of some weird angle, like
was this Hoodie Mello at the moment?
This is pre-Hoodie Mello.
Pre-Hoodie Mello.
Where they were
so
like,
6
look,
finger Mello.
he has a 6th finger. He's a lizard person. And so I'm sure that when this photo emerged, they were like, this time it's real. This kid on Kentucky, finally we found a real lizard person. Well, cool. That's nice that he's making a little money off of it.
Yeah. Because, NIL. He is making a little money off of it. Yeah. He's still in college. He's still, like, he's decently good, too.
You know what would have been cool for Alfonseca is if – so in his rookie year, he won a World Series ring. And he can wear more World Series rings than any other player ever. Like, no team has – I'm trying to think who has been on the most, like, crazy World Series run. Probably the Yankees.
It's got to be a Yankee, right?
Yeah. So he should have been, like, a Yankee back in like the 50s.
Yeah, is there
60s.
any no single baseball player has won double-digit World Series?
I can't imagine. I mean, like the all-time record is what, Bill Russell in the Big Four sports probably, because Bill Russell won like 12 or something.
That was like 11 or 12.
But that's even with like coaching and
yeah, and like Phil Jackson, but most of those are coaching. But I don't think in baseball.
Dude, that'd be sick. Get like a customized like
a little ring,
like a customized little.
It'd have to be
that feels offensive though, like the little finger.
Oh man,
what
here
else
we
do
go.
you call it though?
The record is Yogi Berra, who won 10. So there's no need for an 11th or 12th finger as of now.
I showed Joe. Do you remember the Nike Hyper Eyes commercial with like Kevin Durant and Rashard Lewis like rapping and Andre Iguodala? Is this
no,
it's
not.
Okay, it's from
not.
like 15, 20 years ago. No, it can't be 20 years ago. I'm not that old. 15 years ago, say. Mo Williams was in that commercial, and his character in this like weird rap universe had a 6th finger. They like, for some reason, they thought it'd be funny for Mo Williams to have a 6th finger. And that's relevant, so I brought it up.
Huh.
NBA.
But no. While we're on this though, what sport do you think that would be the most useful to have an extra finger?
And we're talking like a functional 6th
like a
finger?
functional 6th finger.
I think baseball. Like, I think if a pitcher had a 6th finger that worked, that like really had the musculature to affect the spin of the ball.
Yeah. I mean, it's the only
Or
one
maybe
where
a QB.
fingers really.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
You know what's tragic about this? Something I just realized is that if you have 6 fingers, you don't have a middle finger. You can't flip the bird.
God. But then you could then get away with stuff in school because like Antonio Alfonseca had a middle finger, right? Because if the 6th one was vestigial, like you still had the regular hand skeleton shape, but so he could flip someone the bird and then get in trouble and be like, no, it wasn't. That was just one of my 2 middle fingers, so it doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I just felt like doing that. I just felt like doing that. I just felt like flexing this. Yeah,
it's just different.
Yeah.
No, but he seems like a good guy though, man. Like him and Jim Leland had like a little special handshake. Instead of high five, Jim Leland would say, "Give me 6."
So
I'm so serious.
With everything you add to this, I'm glad to know that he had a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Oh, bowling maybe. Well, no, you only.
Yeah, that's probably because it reduces most of your fingers to vestigial if you do that.
Yeah.
So
Not a sport, but maybe like a pianist.
Oh yeah, easy.
That'd be pretty dope.
Yeah.
I mean, if you played 5-Finger Fillet from Alien, remember the knife game where you?
Well, that would make it harder, right?
Well, you get you got a freebie.
Hey, thanks so much for watching this little preview clip from the Annex, our new secret-based podcast. You can get access to every episode of The Annex alongside brand new episodes of John's series Pretty Good, exclusive access to the Reader Mailbag, early releases of YouTube videos, and so much more by signing up for our Patreon. The link is in the description. And if you sign up for the Top Secret Agent tier, you can also get your name in the credits of our YouTube videos, just like all these fine folks did. Well, I don't know that they're all fine, but most of them are good, I think.